Hello everyone and welcome to Cutie Pie Collective. Over the last few videos, I've been showing how to make this lovely overlay crochet heart motif crossbody bag. Now today we're going to be working on making the strap for our bag. This strap is also made using overlay crochet. You can see I worked it directly onto the D-rings we attached in our bag construction video. It gives us this really lovely textured diamond pattern on our strap. This does not use our typical overlay crochet mechanics, and it is decently stretchy, but I don't think it's too stretchy either, so pretty comfortable for a bag. Now I'm going to be showing you just how to do one segment of the pattern and then telling you when you can repeat those steps to extend the strap for as long as you need. Again, we'll need 2 colors of yarn. I'm using the same worsted weight red and mottled white I've been using for the entire project. If you need, here is the pattern laid out on a graph for you to follow along with. Each darker color indicates a overlay double crochet. As you can see, this pattern does go outside the norm where we are not doing overlay double crochets directly below to an anchoring loop. We're going to actually be angling our double crochets one space either forward or backward. When we have a forward double crochet, I've written as double crochet FW for forward. It's one that's going to go into or towards the center of our project. And a double crochet backward double crochet is going to be an overlay double crochet stitch that goes back towards where you're coming from, towards the center of the project. So it will make sense as we go throughout the rest of the video, but that is the general wording I'm going to be using for this. So a double crochet is our standard overlay double crochet directly to a loop right below it. A forward double crochet is an overlay double crochet that reaches in towards the middle of the project, forward and skipping forward from where we are. And a backward double crochet is going to be one that reaches back behind where we've already come from towards the center of the project. So hopefully that makes sense. And again, you can check out my chart that I use to help keep track of things for myself. And if you're making a long strap, you're going to want to repeat after row 14 or at once you're going to complete or once you're going to start row 15, you're going to repeat back to row 3. And then you can just keep going for as long as you want, for however long of a strap you want. I would recommend doing one section at a time and checking the stretch, checking the fit, and continuing as you go. Now, for the purpose of this demonstration, I am going to be working the strap built off of a chain. I did not do that for my own project just because I worked it directly onto my bag loops. You can see here I worked directly onto the loops, but you can also start with the chain and then sew on your strap if you prefer. That's the one I finished with. You can see the stitches there. For how I did mine, I did a row of single crochets, 7 single crochets directly onto the loop, and then I did chain 3, then did 2 double crochets, 1 single crochet, 1 slip stitch, and then another single crochet and 2 double crochets to help make up for the curve of the D-ring, to try to give myself as flat of a starting point as possible. Then went back chained one, turned, and did a row of single crochets all across the top to get myself a base to start with. I think it worked out pretty well, giving myself a decently flat base or decently straight base to work my strap off of, because I didn't want it bunching or gathering around the curve of the ring. But for this one, I'm going to be just showing you working it off of a chain. So we're going to start by chaining 7. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we chain 1 more. Then we're going to work single crochets into the back bump of our chain. I feel like this works better than trying to go in through one of the loops. It just makes it a little bit straighter, in my opinion. Again, we're working on the second chain away from the hook, not the very first one. That's why we give that extra 8th chain as we go. And now we have these 6 bumps left here to work our remaining 6 single crochets. And again, we're using this little bump here. That's where we'll work our single crochets all the way across. This last one can be a little bit tricky to see, but it does exist. It's there for you to use. And then you should have 7 single crochets waiting for you to build the rest of your strap off of. Now, because we are doing overlay crochet, we always work from one side to the other. There's no way to turn your project and go back with a standard overlay crochet. So instead, we're going to make our ending loop nice and big and then bring our ball of yarn through that loop and tighten it down. This does make it tricky to rip out your project, but you can do so. It just takes a little bit of extra work. Now we take our second color here, and we're going to start once again all the way at one side and working to the other. You can count back 7 stitches, and I did start to do it wrong, so we're just going to ignore that and start again. So we have to lay our end tail back over our stitches. We're going to be working over that yarn. It's what brings our working yarn back to the side that we're working from, so that we can continue to change colors each row. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, trying to like juggle your yarn balls, but it's alright, it's not too bad. To start with, we're going to enter in back loop only again, and we'll do a slip stitch and then a single crochet. After that, we're going to do single crochets all the way across for all 7 stitches. Technically, I think this does work better, and on other rows I change this and do a chain at the very start of these rows, but I am so used to slip stitching on a new color that it was just muscle memory at this point. So you can do a slip stitch and then a single crochet, or you can go straight into a single crochet, I think. But slip stitches are my go-to. Now again, in the written pattern, I have this process marked as finish, but again, it's pull up your loop nice and big, bring your yarn ball through that loop, tighten that loop down. And we'll do that after each row, bringing our yarn back over to our working side, our starting side. Then we'll pick up our previous color and start again, 7th stitch, back loop only. We'll bring up our new color and we'll chain 1. That helps keep our secondary color, the one we're working over, still. Now for every red row, we're either going to start with a double crochet on the outside or a single crochet on the outside, and it's going to alternate double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet all the way across, or single crochet, double crochet. So for this first row, it's a double crochet on the outside. So we've done our chain, now we do our double crochet. And it looks a little strange because you do have something in the stitch that we usually skip. So, but this is our first actual stitch. So we go into our second stitch with a single crochet. Again, working over that secondary yarn. Now we do another double crochet. And we will alternate back and forth with doubles and singles all the way across our 7 stitches. And whatever we start our row with, double or single, is what we will end our row with. So we're going to alternate until we do a double crochet all the way on our 7th and last stitch. And it's good to double check which stitch you're working into, because with the yarn that you're working over, sometimes the stitches can get a little muddied or pulled back over on top of themselves, which can make it hard to see what you're doing. All right, and that's our last double crochet for this row. This is row 3. Again, finish your row by bringing the yarn ball through your loop and rotating your yarns. This process is something that is a little bit tricky and it does take time. So if you're wanting a quick strap, this is not the strap for you. But if you want something that looks really nice and interesting, I feel like this is a really lovely finishing touch for an overlay crochet project. Now you have that finished. Again, bring that color back over so we can work over it. Pick up our contrasting color. Now this is where we do our first angled overlay double crochets. I'm gonna zoom in here, and this was both a good and bad idea, I think, watching back later in editing, because sometimes I do go out of frame, but it is a little easier to see. So again, we're gonna start back loop only of our first single crochet, loop over with our contrasting color, pull through and chain. Now we're going to start this row with a double crochet, and it's going to be angled forward in towards the center of our project, in that little square space we left behind. Now this is where you do have to be careful, because you do have to then put a single crochet kind of behind where that double crochet wants to live, but it's crossing over. You can see that. So we do, and we because it is that first stitch of the row, it does look like there's already something there, but that's where that double crochet lives. So the next available stitch will be a single crochet. And you can see after you do that single crochet, it kind of helps push that angled, that forward double crochet into its spot. Now we do another forward angled double crochet into our middle opening. And we skip a stitch. You can see it here. That's the stitch we're skipping. Now we're going to go into our middle stitch, back loop only again, and single crochet. So those are our forward double crochets. Now we're going to do a backward double crochet. Again, because it goes back behind where we've been working, into that same spot as our last forward double crochet to create a nice little V. Again, we skip a stitch and go here for our next single crochet. And then we're going to do one more backward double crochet. You can kind of see at the very end that double crochet from the beginning likes to try to kind of fall off the edge. So you do have to be kind of careful about making sure you go in for the backward one. I also like to try to anchor these last double crochets, if I remember to do so, just by slipping in through, pulling up one loop, and then going down, doing our double crochet, going through 2, then going through 3. So that's row 4. We're going to finish. And you can tweak and edit those angles a little bit. You can see how they slant forward or backward. Alright, so we're just going to start our next row here. Again, pull up our next color, chain 1. Give yourself a little bit of slack there for working over that secondary yarn. This time, we're going to be starting with a single crochet on our red row. Again, because we did and started with a double crochet on the one before. Now this next double crochet can be a little bit finicky. You have to remember, you are never going to stack the red double crochets on top of each other. They're always going to be just next to each other. So you can see how they don't match up, they're going next to each other. Again, do another single crochet, and then our next double crochet is right here in the gap of that V. Again, double crochet, our next. Again, you're going to want to make sure that you skip a stitch and then work your next single crochet. After that, we're going to do another double. Again, our doubles do not go on top of each other, they go beside each other. So we're going right down here. You can pull that slanted double crochet sort of out of the way, since it sort of tries to half cover that. We're going to be going right next to the one we did before and working our double crochet. Again, depending on how tightly you've pulled your previous row, your stitches might try to hide a little bit, so you can give yourself more slack here and double check you're skipping a stitch and working into the very last stitch of your previous row with one last single crochet. And there you have it. Tighten up your slack a little bit and move on to the next row after finishing. You can give things a little stretch, and that can sort of help things lay properly as well. Alright, after finishing, again, move that yarn back over, and in this next row we're going to be continuing that center V and extending it outwards. Start with your first pull up new yarn, chain, then we're going to be working single crochets. Again, you go back into that first chain spot with a full single crochet. Then we're going to be doing a forward double crochet, and you stack it right on top of the one you did before. Skip a stitch and then single crochet. Again, make sure you trap that second color. We're going to do 3 of these single crochets. So that was 1, this is 2. And then here is our third single crochet. Next, we're going to be doing a backward double crochet. So back connecting to that V that we've made previously and extending it up. Now again, skip a stitch, go on to the very end, and single crochet. Pull in your extra, give it a little stretch, and finish off that row. Next up, lay that yarn back over, go into your first stitch, pull up your next color, and chain. We're going to start with a double crochet this time, since the last time we started with a single. We just go right in here at the very edge of our project and double crochet. Alright, next we're going to single crochet. And then we'll just repeat that process across the rest of the work. Remember, you can sort of pull these aside. We're going to be working right here and here. Double crochet. And single crochet. Remember to pick up that other color of yarn here. Another double crochet. And We'll do one more single crochet right here. And then we're going to finish with an anchored double crochet. So we'll just go into this stitch here, pull up, wrap our yarn, and go down right here. Again, I try to remember to do anchored doubles when I can, just to try to help give it that little extra bit of stability at the edges of the work. Right, and that completes this row. Go ahead and finish and pull that yarn in. It helps if you pinch right at the edge and pull so it doesn't get all warped. Give it a little stretch. Alright, now we're going to start on our next row. We're continuing up this diamond or this V up even higher now. And we're going to start making the little diamond in the center. So pull up our next color and chain. Then we're going to double crochet forward into the top of that stitch from before. Next, we single crochet. It can look a little strange because you do skip a stitch technically, but since it's slanted, that double crochet can kind of fall over into that space. Now we do another forward double crochet into the center of our project. Then we skip a stitch right to the very center and do a single crochet. Now we're going to do a backward double crochet back into that center stitch from before. It can be a little bit tricky. You can hold it down with your thumb to try to help get your hook through. And finish your double crochet there. You see you've created a nice new little V. Then we're going to skip a stitch and do a single crochet. And now we're going to do an anchored backward double crochet here. You can sort of count your stitches if you get confused about where you are. We've done 6, so this is our 7th. I forgot to anchor it there for a second, but we are going to try to slip through here, pull up yarn, then wrap down into that stitch from our previous row. Pull through 1. You can sort of hold it down with your thumb. Pull through 2 and pull through 3. Anytime the pattern has an A in front of one of our double crochets, it's an anchored double crochet. Here's how that row looks after it's completed and finished. We start again, lay over our yarn. We're going to pull up our next color and chain. This row of red starts with a single crochet. So we're just going to go back in here and do our single crochet. Next is our double. And pull that aside there and go in beside the double we made previously. We're not there, we go here next to it. Double crochet. Skip a stitch and single crochet. remembering to pick up that yarn. Now our next double crochet is right here. Just pull those aside. Sorry for going off screen there. Right, and double crochet. We'll skip a stitch and do another single. See, we're skipping one to go right here. Single crochet. Right, now we have another double. Goes right in here. Double crochet, and we end with a single crochet. Remember, you're going to skip and put that single crochet at the very end of our row. Alrighty, perfect. Just finish that off. Starting our next row here. Again, lay over our yarn, pull up our new color and chain. We're going to start with a single crochet. Now we're going to do a backward double crochet to connect to the side of our diamond here. This will give our side point to the diamond. Then we do another single crochet. Remember, you're going to skip a stitch and work our single crochet right here. Next up, we have something a little new. It's a backward and forward double crochet together. So I wrote it out as 2 double crochet backward / forward together on the written pattern. I know it is one heck of an abbreviation, but what we're going to do is we're just going to go backward like a normal backward double crochet into this one point here, pull up once, yarn over, pull through 2. We don't finish the stitch. We yarn over and go into a forward double crochet, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have 3 on our hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. So it's like a pretty standard 2 double crochet together, but you're doing it 1 stitch backward and 1 stitch forward to create the point of our little diamond. Next, we do a single crochet. You can see that little diamond there. Now we do a forward double crochet. And then we finish off the row with one last single crochet. That last single crochet can be a little bit hidden sometimes, but just remember you need 7 stitches across every row. As long as you have that, you're good. And I realized I forgot to pick up the yarn, so let's just ignore that that happened. Okay, great. And there we go, perfectly finished. 7 stitches. Go ahead and finish that row. And that's what it looks like when it's completed. Again, you can give it a little stretch, and that can help it lay properly. Alright, starting row 11, pull up our next color and chain. We start this red row with a double crochet. So it's on the very edge of our work here, see? Double crochet. Then single crochet. Our next double crochet is right here. Next, single crochet. Then we do another double crochet. Again, you can pull those stitches aside a bit so you can find the right loop to go into. And we just need one more single crochet and one more double crochet, this one anchored. Go ahead and finish off that row. And here's how it looks. You can see that that row of red really helps define that little diamond. All right, change colors and chain. This time we're going to be doing 2 single crochets. So here's single crochet 1 and single crochet 2. Now we're going to be doing a backward double crochet to continue extending that diamond upwards. Next, we do a single crochet and then a forward double crochet to the other side of that large diamond. I apologize for being so out of frame for this row. I didn't realize I had pulled the work quite so close to myself. Remember to skip 1 stitch, then work another single crochet, single crochet 1, and single crochet 2. And that finishes off that row. Go ahead and finish it off. You can adjust the stitches a little bit. You can see we're extending that diamond up. Now change color and chain. This row of red, we start with a single crochet. Since we started with a double crochet last row, again, these rows alternate each time. So single crochet, then double crochet. Again, pull this aside. You can see there's 1 double crochet here. We need to go in 1, so we're going right here. Alright, so now we're just going to skip that one stitch and place a single crochet. Now we'll double crochet right in the center. Skip a stitch and do a single crochet. Then we'll do another double crochet right here. And one last single crochet. All right, beautiful. And just finish off that row. You can see our diamond pattern is almost complete. Just need a few more rows to finish it off. All right, back to the beginning. Lay that yarn over. Bring up our next color and chain. We're going to do a single crochet and then a backward double crochet right to the edge of the work. Skip a stitch and go in for another single crochet. Next up, we have another one of those backward and forward double crochets together. So you're going to get to see how we work those again. Once more, we yarn over, go backward, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2. Then we yarn over and go for our forward double crochet, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. Now again, we skip 1 stitch, come in here for another single crochet. Then we're going to do a forward double crochet, and then end it with one last single crochet right at the edge of our work. Go ahead and finish off that row. Now we just need one more row to complete our sample, or the first block or diamond of the strap. So pull up our next color and chain. Then we do a double crochet, and then a single. If you want to continue this pattern, this row 15 is the same as row 3. So if you want to make this strap longer, just go back to row 3 and continue repeating the pattern from there to make the strap as long as you wish. But for just making a little sample like this, just doing up to row 15 gives you one completed diamond. Alright, we just need one more single crochet and one more double crochet. Here's that last single crochet. And one more anchored double here at the very end. Finish that off. And there we go. All right, let's finish that row. All right, there we have it, our completed diamond. You can see that if you wanted to continue those rows, you could just continue back from down here, and you continued connecting these forward and backward double crochets to the ones we finished up above, and you just be able to continue that repeating pattern for as long of a strap as you'd like. You can see it has a decent bit of stretch, but it's not too bad, especially for crochet. It gives you something nice and sturdy and comfortable. Thank you all for following along, and I'll see you next time. Until then, let's make something.